the law degree, fine. Started with the firm I'm working with now, Capital Law, about 10 years ago. And they said to me, you speak a number of languages, don't you? Yes. Do you want to be involved in our international sort of like offering? Because this is an area of law that we really want to improve on. So I thought, yes, fine. So I'm heading up the international team of Capital Law now. And in the last 10 years, I got very much involved in a network of international lawyers called Languages Cymru. And Languages Cymru consists of 150 law firms all over the world, and we have conferences twice a year. So I got to go to some amazing places. I've been to Hong Kong, I've been to Guadalajara, I've been to New York twice this year, I've been to Istanbul, I've been all over Europe. Probably going to South Africa next year, probably to Japan the year after. None of that would have been possible if I hadn't been somebody who speaks a few languages. So that was, great. 80% of my work now, I would say, is international. So on any given day, I might talk to people in Germany, Italy, France, Brazil, South Africa, United States, Japan, you name it. People always think that in order to do international law you have to go to London. It's not true. You can do it in like something that I would like you to sort of take away from this session, if nothing else. There are a lot of businesses in Wales who really need people who speak other languages and they can't get them. I have a client who has a manufacturing business in Newport and he employs mostly people from Eastern Europe because he says they all come and speak 3 languages fluently. I can't find anybody in Newport who can do that. Similarly, I know a business, they work in the sort of insurance field, wide insurance field somewhere in mid-Wales. And they actually fly people from France there because they deal a lot with French businesses. And they said, we can't find enough French speakers. So when you go out as ambassadors to the schools, if you can sort of like make it quite clear to the kids, it is important, whatever you do, whether you become a linguist or a teacher or whatever you can do, become a dentist, you can become a vet, a lawyer, or work in any kind of manufacturing business. People need languages, and it is really, really important for Wales that languages actually get put on the agenda.
I did international relations at Loughborough, and I did a few modules in Spanish, so it wasn't even actually a minor. I just sort of did language modules throughout my course. And that's partly just because I did an AS level language, and honestly, part of it was just to prove that I had a high enough language so I could do the year abroad. I never saw languages being something I would continue and be part of my career. I went to a primary school, and it's amazing. The first day I was like, yes, right, I'm in a primary school, there's no English speakers in this town, I'm going to learn Spanish. Got there and said, we are a Valencian school, we speak Valenciano. So it's essentially like someone coming to a Welsh school here to learn English, and they say we do all our lessons in Welsh. So that was my first challenge, was to learn Valencian. And then when I came back, I was totally passionate about languages, loved it, kind of wished I'd involved more languages in my degree rather than just 1 or 2 modules. And then got asked to be a student ambassador, like you guys. And through my year last year, because I graduated this summer, so last academic year I did lots of work in primary schools all across the East Midlands, going to primary schools, secondary schools, trying to inspire the children, doing crazy things from singing Frozen songs in Spanish to playing games. We're just really, like you guys, trying to inspire them to take in languages and show them how important it is, not just to think if you want to do language you have to become a teacher or you have to be a linguist. Like me, never really foresaw myself as a linguist, but having lived abroad and managing to be fluent in Spanish, the opportunities that I've now got. I day to day am dealing with people from Spain, France. Obviously we're working with the British schools and youth organisations and higher education, but because we're planning they're going in partnership with other countries, often you have to call like Spanish National Agency. And that was probably my proudest moment so far, being able to pick up the phone and speak in Spanish over the phone. I thought, yes, I finally made it. The lady that I'd spoken to in Spanish then came straight up to me. She was like, "You're Beth, and you're the girl that spoke in Spanish." So even if you're not fluent in language, even just me on the telephone and saying, "Hello, my name is," or something, they can really like break down barriers. I think if you're in business, that's how like contracts are made and like relationships are made. So definitely She's now my new best friend, and every time I need to get anything from the national agency, I just call her directly, straight through, and get all the answers, whereas the other colleagues are sort of having to wait on emails.
I was a student ambassador, just like you, working for Roots into Languages, doing the very same thing that you're doing here today. And it was my language course that got me interested in translation, because in the fourth year they offered translation modules. But in addition to the translation modules, I also sought to gain some volunteer experience to sort of put me in a good position when it came to graduating. So I ended up translating some poems from German to English for the Welsh National Opera here in Cardiff. And when it came to graduation in 2011, so I've only been out of uni for 3 years, I managed to get a job pretty much straight away at a company called Eclipse Translations, working as an in-house translator. They're based in the northeast of England as well. I was with Eclipse for 3 years or so. In the last year I was the senior translator, managing the translation department there. But just 4 months ago I moved back to Cardiff and started my own business, Capital Translations.
We'll talk about roots into jobs. One thing I would urge as a teacher who has done something else, that the teaching profession lacks people who have done something else. Lots of teachers go to 7 years of primary school, 7 years of secondary school, 3 or 4 years of a degree, teach training and back to school straight away, and there are not many people in the teaching profession who have done something else. So if we are thinking about it, you don't necessarily need to go teach straight away. You know, there are possibilities. I was 28 when I did teacher training, so it was something that I would really encourage you to do, maybe to think of something else, to gain other experience. It is an advantage if you're going to become a teacher that you have 2 languages. And obviously I did a Welsh degree, but I have got French A-level and I did a year of French at university. And I think the issue is that you need French if you're going to become a modern languages teacher. The vast majority of schools still have French as the first language. In Broeden, German and French have equal weighting, but that is very unusual. Also, if you have a degree combination such as German and Spanish, for example, which I've got some ex-pupils have gone on to do that combination. The problem is, if you're going to go and teach, you're going to go to a school who either teaches French and Spanish or French and German. And it's very unusual that you're going to be able to use that combination of what is 2 second foreign languages really in the vast majority of schools. So if you don't speak French and you're thinking of going teaching, I would say that you need to find yourself a course, or maybe if you can follow some modules in your final year or do an evening class to get your French. You will need to get your French. It is the most amazing job in the world, I have to stress this, but it also can be the most frustrating job in the world, and it is really all-encompassing. But it's one of these jobs that the more you put into it, the more you will get out, and the more you give your students. You have to give a lot in order to get something back. But it is really a fantastic job, and I would really encourage it, and encourage you to think about it. The oldest children in Broeden are year 9 now, and they're what is called Generation Y. And these children, Generation Y, these are the children now that you're going to meet, because I know there's quite a focus on year 9 very often with student ambassadors, because they are going to be doing their options, thinking forward now to are they going to continue with the language. And okay, it varies depending on socio-economic background, but they live in a virtual, digital world, the vast majority of them, in this extremely weird virtual world. Now, I spend a lot of time on Twitter and Facebook, but this is a completely different world that they are living in. You need to find a way in with them, because they're not necessarily going to be the same children as you were when you were in year 9, and certainly not the same child as I was in year 9. Well, that's a huge book. Have you read it? The first 140 characters, then I got tired. So that's something, for you to think about when you're going out now to face them. Have fun, but think about how you're going to engage them. Diolch yn fawr.